men relate to women the way humans relate often to the world, to the truth of the world, which is just pure potential. It's pure dynamic potential. And your primary disposition, what is your primary disposition? Is it that this life wants to offer me what I most deeply desire? Well, then you enter a whole other series of questions, because first of all, so I'll tell you my answer. My answer is yes, provided you're operating in accord with life. And it's very simple. The math is so deceptively simple. I think that people miss it. It's like, oh, okay, if you were to look at the mission statement of life, then what would it be? Well, it seems to be growth. That seems to be, and it seems to be, so the idea the sun shines equally on everyone. It seems to be equal potential for all. And so then it would be to benefit, And so if I align my values with that, then this strange thing happens where the resources to make that happen. Now, so you're talking about the man dilemma, and that is what tends to happen for men is, by the way, I'm going to stop saying as far as I can tell. What tends to happen for men is they get all these ideas in their head about how to get access. So first of all, the idea is you're entering the conversation with a separate sense of self. And that separate sense of self is what bumps into the relating. The most powerful thing you can do is get in rapport with another human being. That's what Om is. It's syncing up nervous systems. When you sync up nervous systems, these magical doors open that you won't know until you actually have the experience, and then you'll know. So this set of programs that are put in men about how to get a woman, first of all, tends to be precisely what blocks. You may get the body, but you won't get the woman. You won't get the goods from that. And so there's all of these ideas. And by the way, women put these ideas out there. It's not just men. I just saw somebody on Facebook today with all of these ideas about what men should be, other than friends. Anything that a man should be other than a true friend is an imposition of the ego in my mind. And so anyway, that's that. So what will happen is your program will prove more important than my desire. And so according to the math, by the very nature of that equation, I become an object. And so then if I'm an object, either I don't want to be an object, or if I am an object, you don't get a person. You don't get a friend. You don't get an ally.
I was in Italy, and it was during the pandemic. And so things were a little tense. And I would go out and run errands. And on the way to and back, to and from errands, there would be traffic jams and roads closed and just all of these, unexpecteds.
Now he's bragging. Just
but I would have a list and of things to do. And I could always feel, there was always, every time I left the house, there was like a little mental tether that I could feel just about whether I was connected to what was happening in the house or not. And that was useful because, let's say I was driving and I saw a fruit stand. If that wasn't on my list, it would occur to me, oh, the house would look great with all this fruit. This would be a great addition, or a flower stand, or just something to add some life and vibrancy, or who knows what I would find. But what would invariably happen on several occasions is I'd be out running these errands and I would hit some kind of obstacle, or something would take too long. And I would look at my list and I would feel that feeling. And I would look at the list and say, I I have to do more. I've only gotten 2 things out of 10 done on this list. And who would I be if I came back? I would risk disappointment. I would tell myself it was all of these things about them. I would risk things with them. I wouldn't. It was all about my own self-image. It was all me just playing against me, looking at that. And in, at the beginning, what I would do is I would say, well, I have to sacrifice this connection.
Important piece. Good.
I have to sever this in order to affirm this idea of who I should be and what I should be capable of and what I should be able to bring back and get my kudos or whatever, whatever mental thing I had really against myself. So I had to first sever it, but then invariably I would come back and I would be kind of discombobulated. I would obviously be out of.
You'd be a mess.
I'd be a mess. And
It'd take all afternoon.
And we were in the
have
middle.
our little ricotta cheese and some crackers.
Right?
Eli all day.
Because I knew that I had done that, and I knew that there was the feeling of whatever it would have been to have stayed inside the connection would have been in order to try to escape that discomfort. The lie in my brain was cut that and reaffirm your self-image by doing this thing solo. Go solo, be a solo act.
That's good. That's important. And so you brought about 100 things to mind. One is that I want to point out is we talk about the objectification of women, but the objectification of men, having it be that a man's worth is reliant on his capacity to go solo and produce, where we don't actually have the subject connection between the two as primary, meaning where what's first and foremost important is Eli. It's so difficult for men to understand, as far as I can tell. Like, no, we want your being, not just what you do. And so that this is an important distinction. In my concubine, he says, you just love me for my money. And she says, no, I love you with your money. The importance of that distinction is, I don't love you for your money, but I also don't love you in spite of your money. That's part of who you are. I love you. So I don't love him for his capacity to produce, but it's not like if we have the connection, then I don't want him to produce. That's part of who he is and part of what had me love him in the first place. So it's including that. And that's, again, I'm going to come back to simultaneity and why those two things have to travel together for the lift off to happen. Is, in relationship, often what you see is a woman who will absorb a man into connection to the point that he's disabled, or a woman who will disable herself in connection to the point where he's overcompensating. And so it's a balancing pose. It's neither over or extension or under extension for both people, and that there is a spot in every moment. There is a spot of perfect extension. And I'm betting my life on this. We can all hear it. In any given moment, there is an experience, when a woman turns on her orgasm, where everyone in the room, where it's not turned on, where everyone in the room just kind of says, oh, interesting. And then, and everyone sees it at once. Well, that's the notion of the spot. And so there's always a spot, and a spot doesn't always align or jive with your views in any given moment. Like, for example, you might look at the iPad in the middle of me talking, right?
Could happen.
And start preparing 2 steps ahead away from this spot in this moment where the conversation might take a total. And so fear of the spot is fear of the mystery. It's inside of the mystery that all love, passion, intimacy, revelation, rapture, joy, ecstasy happens. how do you stay there? When the identity wants to pull you out and have it be that you did a good job. But I just am going to keep saying, we want to do a good job so we can get on the spot so that we can enter these places. Just enter the places. Then if you enter them, this discovery, and you have to try it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Please don't take my word for anything, actually, ever. Keep trying it for yourself and see if it's true. But this magical thing happens. You enter the spot and the wisdom comes. All of a sudden, the improvisational mind is so much smarter than the prepared self mind.